back to my YouTube channel. If you're new, join the family. I'm very happy to have you here. Guys, today we're going to go over something that will make you lose all faith in humanity yet again. Today we're going to be talking about 365 days. If you haven't watched it, I really envy you, truly. But before we start, I'm going to put a big trigger warning because we are going to be talking about some pretty hectic stuff. So if you know you can't handle that, take care of yourself and, join me next video. Also, if for some deluded reason you want to watch this movie, we're going to be having some heavy spoilers. So go ahead, watch the movie, then come back and watch this. So, 365 days. This is the movie that was put on Netflix like a couple weeks ago or something. And that movie is really interesting. I'm going to read the description of the movie for you real quick because that is important. A woman falls victim to a dominant mafia boss who imprisons her and gives her 1 year to fall in love with him. Does that kind of sound familiar? If you were like me and had a heavy addiction to Wattpad in my early teen years, you will know that this sounds like every Wattpad book. Replace the main character with Harry Styles, and you've got yourself a fanfiction. Quick recap of the movie. So, there's this girl, Laura, and this guy, Massimo. The movie starts with Massimo and his father doing some sort of deal with these other guys that are like trading humans, and it's all kind of weird. And then Massimo's father gets shot and dies. This is never explained. Like it's not explained why that happened. They kind of just left that out. Then we move on to Laura. So we see Laura and Massimo in two different like business meetings, being great bosses and things. Laura lives with a boyfriend who is kind of a mess. Like that relationship is not going well. So fast forward, Laura and her boyfriend go on a trip to Sicily for her birthday. She's there and her friends are there and they're just having a good time. Laura is walking around and she stops, right? Because she thinks that someone is following her. She's walking and she stops. And she turns around and guess who's there? Massimo. And this is when he introduces himself.
Are you lost, baby girl?
It's cringy, I know. And it's so cringy. And she's like, what? And then she obviously is like leaving and she turns around and he's just gone. Doesn't make sense. Did he run? Did he vanish? No one knows, but he's just gone. This is where the story really starts. Laura is wandering around Sicily by herself in the dark and she gets kidnapped. When she wakes up, she's in Massimo's castle. It's literally a castle. She's in Massimo's castle and like any person would do, she's demanding to leave. But Massimo is like, no, I'm giving you a year to fall in love with me. If you fall in love with me, if you don't fall in love with me, you can go. Which what kind of deal is that? That's not a year. I have to spend a year with you? Laura's like, my guy, not a chance. And she tries to run, but Massimo keeps stopping her. And it's like this weird thing where he would like grab her and throw her against walls. And everyone's just like, ooh, that's hot. So Massimo is like, we have to go to Rome because I have some business there. And Laura's like, there's no way I'm going. But she also doesn't have a choice because she is kidnapped. So they fly to Rome. And So they go to Rome, and this is the worst scene of the movie, in my opinion, and the most disgusting thing. Remember when he said, "I won't touch you unless you tell me to"? What happened to that, Massimo? I would very much like to know what happened to that agreement, because you obviously broke it. Fast forward, we get to the bird scene. Now this is the most important scene of the movie. Everyone hypes up this movie because of the bird scene. The bird scene is the pivotal scene. So they're on this boat, and Laura and Massimo are fighting. Laura falls off the boat into the ocean. Like any decent person would do, Massimo jumps into the water and saves her. And for some reason, she's like, "Wow, you saved me? That must mean that you really care for me." And then they do the deed on the boat, all over the boat. And I would like to point out that this movie is very much like meant for 18 and old, like for 18-year-olds and older. But let's be honest. With that description, I can tell you that 14-year-olds are watching this. After that happens, Massimo is basically like, okay, I trust her, she's not gonna run away. He allows her to visit her family in Poland. So Laura goes to Poland. Massimo says, like, "I'll be there with you soon, like, I just have things to deal with here." And she's like, "Why won't you come with me?" But you know, whatever. She meets up with her family and her friend, and they're like vibing and partying or whatever. And for some reason, she dyes her hair blonde. Like, she cuts it short and dyes it blonde. But obviously that's a wig. I think that's the worst wig I've ever seen. Ever. She's going back to her hotel room, and her ex follows her there, and he's like, "Give me a chance, I miss you." And she's like, "No bro, like, get away from me." But he's like very persistent. And then Massimo, who somehow got into the room and is just sitting there in the dark, he's all like, "Leave her alone, bro." So Laura confesses her love for him. The very next day, he proposes to her, and she's like, "Absolutely, yes." So now they're engaged to get married. Things are cool. And then Laura gets pregnant. Out of the blue, she's now pregnant, and her friend's like, "You have to tell Massimo." And then Massimo's right-hand man, I guess, tells him that the rival mafia gang is going to kill Laura. And he's like, "Oh no," but before he can get to Laura, she was shot and killed. And then it ends with Massimo crying. So now that we've recapped that, let's get into my thoughts about the movie. These are my opinions. Agree, disagree. Let me know what you think in the comments. Yeah, okay. From a plot point of view, nothing really makes sense. Everything is very rushed. Things are not explained properly. What exactly was Laura's job? Because that seemed like a big thing in the beginning, but then it's never explained. What exactly is happening with Massimo and the mafia? Because obviously that's important for the end of the story, but that isn't really explained either. The main plotline of the story, in all honesty, is just Massimo and Laura and their sexual tension and all of, like, that whole thing. But I don't understand how you're going to have a movie where that is the main plot line and everything else is not being pieced together. It does not make sense to me. It's very much, if you've ever read a Wattpad book with the storyline, it is very much like that, where things are not explained properly. They just happen, and you just accept that they happen. It's just like, "Oh, okay, this is happening now," but there's no explanation. There's no build up, I would also like to talk about how there's supposed to be character development over the story, but because it's so rushed, it just doesn't make sense. It's like, oh, Massimo is like this aggressive, like I can't find love type character. Then at the end, he's no longer that kind of person, but where's the development throughout the story? Laura starts out not liking Massimo. Then the very next day, she is starting to like Massimo, like on a sexual level. But then at the end of the story, she falls in love with him. But where is the progression? Where's the progression between the beginning and the end? Where was the character development? Let's talk about the acting in this movie. The acting in this movie, I honestly think it is probably the worst acting I've ever seen. The worst acting. Massimo speaks in the same tone the entire movie. Like there's no change in dynamics or emotion. He literally talks the same the whole movie.
What I'm about to tell you is so incredible that I wouldn't have believed it's true until I saw you at the airport.
I wouldn't have to do it if you didn't dress like a whore and put on your little show.
I can see you've got your strength back.
You to teach me how to be gentle.
I honestly think they just casted him because of his looks. In all honesty, because that acting is trash. Let's be real for a second, that acting is trash. And Laura's acting also is trash. It's so monotone. There's no dynamics, there's no feeling in the movie. And that's why at the end, when Laura dies, you don't really feel like that. Sorry, maybe that's just me, but when Laura dies, I didn't really connect with emotions from Massimo's point of view, because the entire movie, he's just been deadpan. There's been no like change in his voice and his emotions, and also because there was a lack of character development. When Laura died, it was like, okay. Now I want to talk about what I really find problematic about this movie. This entire movie is supposed to be like this, oh, look at these two really sexy people getting hot and heavy the entire movie. This is so like, I wish I had a relationship like this. But there was no consent in that entire relationship. That entire relationship was based off abuse. Laura was firstly kidnapped by Massimo. From the moment that she's kidnapped, all consent is taken away. How can she consent when she's in a situation where she has no choice? She doesn't want to be there, but she has no choice to leave. Massimo is aggressive from the start. Even though he promises not to touch her, he is literally touching her when he says, I promise not to touch you until you tell me to. Make it make sense, bro. Make it make sense. Let's for a second think, if Massimo wasn't this attractive guy, what if Massimo instead was a 6-year-old old greasy man who has pizza stains on his shirt? That would not be the same. Because if it wasn't a man that was attractive, it would come off as completely creepy, right? Tell me I'm wrong. If the main character was not this attractive guy, the story would be completely different. It would have gone from a story of love and sexual tension to straight up creepy. It would become like a thriller of sorts, where it's like, this guy has kidnapped a woman, she needs to escape. And that just doesn't make sense. And the message that it's spreading is a really bad one because it is teaching impressionable people that this type of relationship is okay. Now, it's okay if you want to be in a relationship where things are more like rough, that's fine, but there has to be consent. My problem is that because they've put this movie on a platform where anyone can access it, you get really young people who are watching this and thinking, oh, that's how I should treat women, and oh, this is how a man should treat me, and have that be normalized when that's not okay at all. And no one should treat another person like that. You cannot go up to a person and just touch them, pin them against walls, do whatever you want with them, and with the guys that it's sexy. And in my opinion, this movie needs to be taken down from Netflix and just thrown in the bin. Throw it in the bin. Just in the bin. In the bin. When I heard about this movie, everyone hyped it up because of the boat scene, right? All my friends were like, oh, this movie, the boat scene, the boat scene. And I was like, okay, let me watch this movie. Let's see what's so special about this movie. And I was watching it, and the whole time I was thinking, what on earth is going on? The whole time I was like, this is not okay. This is straight up abuse. The whole movie is just covered by this, here you have two people with a lot of sexual tension, and all of the scenes in this movie are very hot and heavy and steamy, but that is covering up the deeper messages that this movie is portraying. I just think that this movie is entirely toxic to people who watch it, especially young people who will watch this and think, this is what relationships should be like. This is how I get someone to fall in love with me. And that is absolutely, don't do that. Do not do that. Do not go up to someone, pin them against the wall and say, I'm gonna make you fall in love with me. Please do not do that. You will be arrested. You will go to jail. It was great hanging out with you guys, and if you have any suggestions or ideas of what you want me to do, put it down in the comments. Cool, don't forget to subscribe, like, leave a comment, hit that notification bell.